What is going on, Only Playbook fans? The NFL is less than 30 hours from kickoff. We have 16 games, all 32 teams in action in week one. I am going to break down 16 games in 16 minutes. Let's do it. Thursday Night Football, we have the Dallas Cowboys visiting the Philadelphia Eagles, the defending Super Bowl champs after that throttling of Mahomes and the Chiefs last year, 40-22. Eagles basically bringing back the entire roster. Not a lot of changes from their standpoint. Cowboys trading away their star edge rusher Micah Parsons to the Green Bay Packers and trading for wide receiver 2 George Pickens, who some feel could be a superstar in Dallas. So now you have CD and Pickens paired with Dak in that offense. Not a ton of running game there. They got Javonte Williams, Miles Sanders. They lost Rico Dowdle, and they drafted Jaden Blue. So kind of a hodgepodge from the running room standpoint. Eagles still same usual suspects. It should be a lopsided divisional matchup. I know most divisional games score should be slightly closer, but the Cowboys roster relative to the Eagles is just not up to par. Eagles are favored by 8.5 points, over under 47.5. So we're looking at fantasy starters here. You're starting Hurts, you're starting Barkley, you're starting AJ Brown, Devontae Smith. Dallas Goedert's an interesting play, 10-man, 12-man league. There's quite a bit of tight ends this year that I think offer some more upside and value than Goddard does. And Ferguson on the other side from a tight end standpoint. But for the Cowboys, you're obviously going to start Dak, you're going to start Lamb. You're probably going to start George Pickens as well because they're going to play from behind and they're going to have to throw the football quite a bit. Javonte Williams is listed as RB1, still uncertain who's going to be the true number one running back there or if there's going to be a true timeshare between him, Sanders, and Blue. But I don't feel comfortable starting any of those guys in week one. But if you don't have a lot of options, I think Javonte is the guy you're going to roll with. And my pick, anytime touchdown scorer here, you have to go with the man, the myth, the legend, Saquon Barkley. It's a little juicy, minus 165, but I do think he gets into the end zone. It doesn't stop there, boys and girls. We have Friday Night Football in action in week one from Brazil. The Chiefs, who we just talked about, who took a throttling from the Eagles in the Super Bowl, are going to Los Angeles to take on the Chargers, who are the home team here, even though it is in Brazil. Chiefs are favored by 3.5 points, over under 46.5. Again, we talked about it. The Chiefs are coming off an embarrassing Super Bowl loss. Their wide receiver core is a little bit decimated with Rashee Rice being suspended for 6 games to start the season. Hollywood Brown is there, who is actually off of the injury report, so he should actually get some run in week one. The Chargers drafted a young running back, Omarion Hampton, in the first round. They signed Najee Harris from the Pittsburgh Steelers, so they kind of have a two-headed running back committee there, and they brought back old wily veteran Keenan Allen from the Chicago Bears after being productive last year. So he's going to slot right in and be the wide receiver 2 next to Ladd McConkey, with Mike Williams announcing his official retirement. So you're looking at players to start in fantasy from the Chiefs side. You're starting Mahomes, you're starting Pacheco, you're most likely starting Xavier Worthy right now, and Travis Kelce. Despite the down season Travis Kelce had, I expect a bounce back in what could be his final season if they end up riding off into the sunset with the Super Bowl. On the Chargers side, I still think you can start Justin Herbert, even though he has been up and down. Omarion Hampton has to get the start here, and Ladd McConkey is a catching machine. There may be a world where Keenan Allen is viable somewhere down the road. I just don't feel comfortable doing that in week one. My anytime touchdown pick for this game is going to be Travis Kelce, coming in at plus 170. So moving on to Sunday slate, the first game on the board, you have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers traveling to Atlanta to take on the Falcons. Tampa Bay road favored by 2.5 points, over under 47.5. Bucs coming off a division win last year. Their wide receiver core has changed a little bit. Chris Godwin is still there, but he's starting the season on the IR. So they did draft Emeka Egbuka out of Ohio State. He is going to slot right in and probably be their wide receiver 2, with Jalen McMillan as the wide receiver 3. Mike Evans is obviously still there. You still have the same running back room with Bucky Irving, Rashad White, and Sean Tucker. Baker Mayfield at the helm, obviously. And then you look at the Atlanta Falcons' second-year starter, Michael Penix, coming into his own here. What is he going to give us in year 2? Weapons are aplenty. Bijan Robinson in the prime of his career. You have Drake London also in the prime of his career, and maybe Kyle Pitts can finally have that resurgence. I'm not drafting him, but if you are, good luck to you. Players starting in fantasy in this week: Baker, Bucky, Evans, Egbuka, all who I feel comfortable with. Bijan London, also feel comfortable with. And then you're looking at Kyle Pitts and Kate Otten. Again, I think there's better tight end starting options this week, but this could be a game that, offers quite a bit of points. And so wouldn't be surprised if one of those tight ends gets into the end zone. But my anytime touchdown pick for this game is going to be Mr. Bucky Irving himself, minus 134 on the anytime touchdown line. Again, a little bit juicy, but I expect Bucky to get into the end zone. The Cincinnati Bengals are traveling to Cleveland to take on the in-state rival Cleveland Browns. Bengals on the road favored by 4.5 points, over under 47.5. The story for the Bengals is the same this year, folks. The defense made zero improvements. So it is going to be a situation where the offense is going to have to carry the load, even maybe more so than last year. The Browns are starting Joe Flacco at the helm with Dylan Gabriel and Shedeur Sanders waiting in the wings. I don't know when one of those guys will get the start or the Browns will turn to them, but as long as Flacco remains viable, I think the Browns will continue to ride him as long as they can and let these young guns learn behind him and learn the offense. The Bengals offense players are all smash starts here, man. I mean, again, they're going to be playing from behind. Joe Burrow, Chase Brown, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, all absolutely startable for the Browns. Their starting running back is Jerome Ford. I think you can start him. Jerry Jeudy should get quite a bit of catches from Joe Flacco, and you know how much he loves his tight end, David Njoku. So I think all of those guys are startable with how bad the Bengals defense is. My anytime touchdown pick here is going to be Chase Brown at -122. I think he gets into the end zone for the Cincinnati Bengals. The Miami Dolphins are traveling to Indianapolis to take on the Colts. Colts at home favored by 1.5, over under 47.5. The Dolphins came into the offseason with storylines around Tyreek Hill, whether they wanted to trade him or he wanted to trade, but he is still on the roster after all of that drama. They are bringing much of the same offensive core, so the question remains around the offensive line and the health of Tua Tagovailoa. If Tua's healthy, then Achane, Waddle, Hill all have a chance to be really, really good in fantasy and absolutely smash, but I know that is contingent upon the quarterback's health. The Colts, on the other side, are not starting Anthony Richardson. They bring in Daniel Jones, so Danny Dimes gets the nod with AR on the bench to start the season. They do think he can facilitate the offense slightly better than Anthony Richardson can right now, so fantasy players to start, Achane, Hill, Waddle, I think you're all pretty comfortable starting those guys. Jonathan Taylor for the Colts is a must start, and I do really like Tyler Warren, rookie tight end for the Indianapolis Colts. Look out for him to get used in a lot of creative ways. He was a quarterback sneak tush push guy as a tight end in college. I do think he has the frame for that in the NFL, so could sneak and steal some touchdowns from Jonathan Taylor here in the red zone, but I do like him a lot. Michael Pittman Jr. is the most obvious wide receiver one there. He's steady Eddie, as I like to call him, just not a lot of upside, but it does offer a pretty safe floor, and I do think Daniel Jones provides that safe floor, especially against this Dolphins defense. So if you are starting Pittman Jr., I don't hate it. And I'm going to go to Tyler Warren as my anytime touchdown pick for this game, plus 275. Next, we have the New England Patriots hosting the Las Vegas Raiders. You have the Patriots at home favored by 2.5 points, over under 43.5. Raiders, massive overhaul. They bring in Pete Carroll as the new head coach, trade for his former quarterback, Geno Smith from the Seattle Seahawks, and they draft rookie phenom running back Ashton Genty. So very, very different offense on the Raiders side. The Patriots bring in Mike Vrabel after that shit show of a season with Gerard Mayo and Drake May's second season. They draft Travion Henderson, young stud running back out of Ohio State, to give the offense some more explosiveness. And they signed Stephon Diggs to be their wide receiver one and veteran. Fantasy players to start here, Genty, Bowers are both must starts. Jacoby Myers usually is a nice play here, but he could get shadowed by Christian Gonzalez. That's something to monitor. But I do think he's still justifiable to start, and he was pretty good last year in certain situations. For the Patriots, you look at Travion Henderson. He could come off to a slow start. You still have Ramondre Stevenson. They're going to work in Henderson, who's an awesome pass catcher, awesome pass protector, but maybe Ramondre Stevenson gets the first and second down carries, and Henderson is the third down pass catcher. But I still do like starting him, especially in PPR formats. He's going to catch a lot of dump offs, and he's a home run hitter. And you start Stephon Diggs, I think, as well as a wide receiver one for Drake May. One player to watch out for is absolutely Hunter Henry, the tight end for the Patriots. Seems like this dude finds his way into the end zone more often than not. So he is going to be my anytime touchdown pick here at plus 275, Hunter Henry. The Arizona Cardinals travel to New Orleans to take on the New Orleans Saints. Cardinals on the road favored by 6.5 points, over under 43.5. Cardinals year two of trying to get Marvin Harrison Jr. the ball more, seeing if Trey McBride can finally get into the end zone more than one time last year. So hopefully he gets some positive touchdown regression. You look at the Saints on the other side, they are most likely competing for the worst record in football and that number one draft pick. Spencer Rattler is named the starter over Tyler Shutt, at least to start the season. Let's see how long that lasts. I don't see a world where that offense is going to be as functional as anybody would hope. So it remains to be seen how viable those fantasy options are going to be. Obviously, you're starting Kyler, you're starting James Conner, you're starting Marvin Harrison Jr. and Trey McBride on the Cardinals side. On the Saints side, Alvin Kamara is the one constant. You have to start him. He's a PPR machine. Even if the offense isn't productive, he's still going to catch passes. And I still think Chris Olave is talented enough to deserve a start. Underwhelming last year, injuries, the concussions, and the lack of good quarterback play, but he is too talented of a receiver. And if the Saints have any inclination of wanting to move the football, Chris Olave is going to have to be involved. My anytime touchdown bet here is going to be James Conner for the Arizona Cardinals, minus 139. Dude just rumbles into the end zone. So that's who I like here. The Pittsburgh Steelers are traveling to New York to take on the Jets. Steelers favored by 2.5 points, over under 38.5. This is Aaron Rodgers taking on his former team. The Steelers brought him in and traded away wide receiver 2 George Pickens. They also lost Najee Harris, but they drafted rookie Caleb Johnson out of Iowa and extended Jalen Warren while also bringing in Kenneth Gainwell. So that is going to be the 3 running backs, with Warren starting the season as the number 1 running back and Caleb Johnson slotted as the RB3, but he is the rookie, so we expect him to work his way into the backfield at some point this year. The Jets bring in Justin Fields to be the new quarterback with new head coach Aaron Glenn. So it'll be interesting to see how that offense works its way to being a productive or even moving the ball. You have uncertainty in the backfield. Breece Hall, Braylon Allen, Elijah Vera-Tucker, their guard, just actually tore his tricep today and is out for season. So not the most ideal start for the Jets, but if you're looking at fantasy players to start here on the Steelers side, Jalen Warren, DK Metcalf, probably have to be started here. Breece Hall for the Jets, you're going to have to start. And Garrett Wilson, you're most likely going to have to start. My one intriguing option here is the Steelers brought in tight end Jonnu Smith. They already do have Pat Freiermuth, so I don't know what the usage is going to look like for the 2 tight ends, but Jonnu Smith was so productive for the Finns last year, and he got a solid contract for the Steelers, so just somebody to monitor. I am going to sprinkle as my anytime touchdown pick Jonnu Smith. The price is too nice here, plus 425 on the anytime touchdown line. The New York Giants are taking on the Washington Commanders in Washington. Commanders favored by 6.5 points, over under 45.5. Giants bring in Russell Wilson to start the season as a quarterback. They also brought in Jameis Winston to be the backup and drafted Jackson Dart out of Ole Miss to be the future, who had an awesome preseason, but again, he is not starting the season as the starter. Get some time to learn behind these veterans. The Commanders re-signed Terry McLaurin, finally paying him the big bucks. They brought in Deebo Samuel as their wide receiver 2, but outside of that, didn't do a tremendous amount for year 2 starter Jaden Daniels. So you're looking at a situation where I don't know how much the Commanders really improved. Is Jaden going to have a sophomore slump with defenses adjusting? And keep in mind, this Giants pass rush is insane. They should be really, really good at generating pressure, and that alone could keep the Giants in a lot of football games, so you'd be surprised. My anytime touchdown pick here is going to have to be Jaden Daniels, the superstar phenom here, plus 175 to run it in. I do like that a lot. The Carolina Panthers are traveling to Jacksonville to take on the Jaguars. Jaguars favored at 3.5 points, over under 46.5. Bryce Young going into his 3rd year as a starter. This has got to be his make it or break it year. Lots of momentum build off of the end last season where he looked really, really good. But the Panthers did go out and get him a true wide receiver 1 in Tetaroa McMillan out of Arizona, drafted in the 1st round. But the defense may still struggle, especially in the linebacker room. The Jags, on the other hand, traded up to snag hybrid 2-way superstar Travis Hunter, who is going to play wide receiver and cornerback. That is the expectation anyways. And they also did draft running back Bashal Tutin, who was explosive out of Virginia Tech after uninspiring seasons from Travis Etienne and Tank Bigsby. So you're looking at fantasy starters here. You got to start Chuba Hubbard on the Panthers side, Tetaroa McMillan you have to start. On the Jaguars side, I think the only 100% start here is Brian Thomas Jr. I think the Jags backfield deserves to be monitored. I mean, if you want to start ETN week 1, go ahead. I don't feel good about it. I don't know how the workload's going to be with him, Bigsby, and even Tutin now. So I don't feel comfortable starting anybody in that backfield, so I personally wouldn't. But if you're desperate, I guess you have to start ETN. My anytime touchdown pick here is going to be Chuba Hubbard, minus 105 on the anytime touchdown. I really like that price. Moving over to the 4 o'clock slate here, the Tennessee Titans are traveling to Denver to take on the Denver Broncos in Mile High, favored by 7.5 points, over under 42.5. The Titans drafted rookie quarterback Cam Ward out of Miami, and he's supposed to be the future of the franchise. Denver going into year 2 with Sean Payton and paired him with Bo Nix, the rookie quarterback from last year after a great rookie season. Could year 2 be even better with that stout defense? This defense has a chance to really be the best defense in the NFL. So the offense may not have to do a lot. They just have to be opportunistic and make sure they don't turn the football over. If you're looking at fantasy starters here for the Titans, Tony Pollard, you have to start. Calvin Ridley, I feel comfortable starting. Chika Conqua, their tight end, somebody to monitor. Again, who is going to be the mouths that the Cam Ward feeds? Alec Iomaner is the wide receiver 2, the rookie out of Stanford. That's also somebody to worth monitor, but right now I don't feel comfortable starting him, so I'm going Pollard, Ridley on the other side. On the Broncos side, you can start Bo Nix. The running back room is interesting. J.K. Dobbins was brought in, and they drafted rookie R.J. Harvey. I think J.K. Dobbins gets the work early. Harvey has to really prove that he can be a pass protector and do things in other areas of the field that isn't just purely running the football. Until then, J.K. Dobbins, I think, is going to maintain a stronghold on that backfield with Harvey spelling him. So I feel more comfortable starting J.K. Dobbins. You start Cortland Sutton in the receiving room, and I think you start Evan Ingram, who they brought in. I think he's going to be a nice underneath option for Bo Nix all season. My anytime touchdown is going to be the running back that I'm choosing to start. It is J.K. Dobbins plus 160. That is who I feel comfortable with scoring a touchdown in this offense. The San Francisco 49ers are traveling to Seattle to take on the Seattle Seahawks. 49ers on the road in the 12th man, favored by 2.5 points, over under 43.5. 49ers do come in with the easiest strength of schedule this year. All eyes are going to be on the health of this team. Christian McCaffrey's back and healthy, allegedly. Can he stay healthy for a full season? Brandon Ayuk starting the season on IR. He's probably going to be back in 4 to 6 weeks. Juwan Jennings was hurt, but he was back at practice a couple of days ago, so hopefully he's ready for week 1. If not, it's Ricky Pearsall, CMC, and it's George Kittle. Those are going to be the guys that they are going to be utilizing heavily. The Seahawks, on the other hand, bring in Sam Darnold after they lose Geno Smith to the Raiders, and Cooper Kupp is now their wide receiver 2 coming over from the Rams. They lost Lockett. They lost DK Metcalf, so it is going to be JSN and Cooper Kupp. So fantasy starters here: CMC, you're starting; Ricky Pearsall, you're starting; George Kittle, you're starting; Ken Walker, you're starting; JSN, you're starting, and I think you can probably start Cooper Kupp. Although I feel a little less confident with him, but he should still be productive in this offense. My anytime touchdown pick, it has to be Christian McCaffrey, guys. Minus 125 anytime touchdown. I don't know that you're going to see a better price than this all season long. So at minus 125, I'll take CMC every day of the week. Battle in the NFC North, the Detroit Lions are traveling to Green Bay to take on the Green Bay Packers. Packers at home, favored by 2.5 points, over under 47.5. Lions made big changes this offseason to both of their offensive coordinators and defensive coordinators. So since they lost both, losing a couple of players on the offensive line as well, the defense is, however, coming back fully healthy. They lost so many starters last year, and a lot of those guys are back and healthy. So while the offense may take a step back, I expect the defense to be full-fledged and ready to attack. The Packers did draft first-round receiver Matthew Golden. Aaron Rodgers is somewhere shaking his head and just traded for Micah Parsons. So it truly feels like they're in a win now mode. Fantasy starters, this could be a big game for a lot of guys. Jared Goff, you feel comfortable starting. Jahmyr Gibbs, David Montgomery, probably starting both. Amon-Ra St. Brown and Jamison Williams, probably starting both, and Sam Laporta. So with the Lions, you're probably starting their entire offense. On the Packers side, Jordan Love, he's hit or miss. Right now, I wouldn't personally start him. I think there are better options. Josh Jacobs, absolutely start. Tucker Kraft, the tight end, you have to start. And I think out of the receiving room right now, you have to give the nod to rookie receiver Matthew Golden. So that's why I feel comfortable starting. Anytime touchdown pick here is David Montgomery, the vulture, to Jahmyr Gibbs, plus 170. I really like the line, and I expect him to get in the end zone. Texans are traveling to LA to take on the Rams. Rams favored by 2.5 points, over under 43.5. Texans have the same question marks this year as they did last year. What is that offensive line going to look like? Sad news for them with Joe Mixon, as he has no timetable to return, starting the season on the IR list. So Nick Chubb, believe it or not, is RB1 at 30 years old. I don't know how much he's got left in the tank, but Dameon Pierce is the backup there, something to monitor. The Rams are hoping Stafford's back holds up all offseason. There have been rumblings about how bad the back is, but it looks like he's on track to play in week 1. But that's not, as fantasy owners, you're not just trying to vie for week 1. You want this guy healthy all year so that it doesn't hinder the fantasy outputs of Devontae Adams and Puka Nacua and even Kyron Williams. So that is going to be something that the Rams fans and people that have a stake in Rams players are going to be monitoring all year. But if you're looking at the fantasy starters here, it's Nick Chubb, Nico Collins, Kyron Williams, Puka Nacua, and Devontae Adams. That's who I feel comfortable starting. Kyron Williams is my pick for anytime touchdown here, minus 125. And again, another solid price for a guy who loves to find the end zone. Might be the matchup of the week. Ravens are traveling to Buffalo to take on the Bills for Sunday night football, baby. We're going to be waiting all day for that one. I can promise you that. Buffalo on the line, minus 1.5, over under 50.5. Again, two teams with one goal in mind here: Super Bowl or bust. You have two MVP quarterbacks, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson. That always comes with a ton of fireworks. The Ravens basically bringing back the exact same core on offense, as are the Buffalo Bills for the most part. The Bills did pay James Cook, so he is not walking, and they did just recently bring back Gabe Davis. So that receiving room is a little bit of hodgepodge of randomness, but Josh Allen doesn't need a lot to work with. I still expect him to be productive. It does make it a little bit uncertain about who to start in fantasy. I think from the Ravens side, you're starting Lamar, you're starting Henry, you're starting Zay Flowers, and I think you can still start Mark Andrews because Isaiah likely is not going to play in week 1. On the Bill side, Josh Allen, absolute smash. James Cook, absolute smash. And I think you're most likely going to start Khalil Shakir. I'm interested to see if the usage for Kincaid changes this year. They were talking about using him and Knox on the field at the same time. Kincaid in the slot, Knox in line. But Knox eats into a lot of Kincaid's time, and Kincaid was hurt last year. So if he is in fact not banged up and truly 100% healthy, I think there is a world where a bounce back is in the realm of possibilities for Dalton Kincaid. My anytime touchdown pick here, got to go with the man, the myth, the legend, Josh Allen, rushing touchdown plus 100. And let's end the slate with Monday Night Football. My Minnesota Vikings are traveling to Chicago to take on the Chicago Bears. Vikings on the road, favored by 1.5 points, over under 43.5. NFC North battle begins with two quarterbacks drafted in the same class. Caleb Williams, J.J. McCarthy. Obviously, we know J.J. McCarthy hurt last year, didn't get to play a snap of regular season football. Bears bring in head coach Ben Johnson, who is the offensive coordinator of Detroit, hoping that they can help that offense take the next step, help Caleb Williams take the next step. Vikings let Sam Darnold walk with the expectation that they trust J.J. McCarthy with the keys to the car and to the franchise to help lead this team to glory. The Bears lost Keenan Allen, but they did draft Luther Burton, so offense is really, really humming. They drafted Colston Loveland to pair with Cole Kmet, so there is not a shortage of weapons on the offensive side for the Bears. Also, they fortified their offensive line completely, so there should be tremendous improvement from that side. Similar to the Vikings, completely overhauled their offensive line. Defense brought in some key players, but for the most part, that roster looks like it's ready to win now. Fantasy starters here. You're going to start Justin Jefferson, TJ Hawkinson. I think from the running back standpoint for the Vikings in week 1 anyways, you're going to start and deploy Aaron Jones, but monitor Jordan Mason's usage. He's probably going to be the goal line back. He's probably going to get more touchdowns than Aaron Jones. So depending on how much the Vikings lean on the run and how effective the running game ends up being for them, he could see a lot more workload than we are expecting. And then on the other side, DJ Moore, I didn't love it last year, but that's who I feel most comfortable starting right now. DeAndre Swift is a starter. And so those are the two guys you're looking at, but I have no lean on Loveland Kmet situation. I have no lean on how much they're going to use Luther Burton here. And Rome Odunze, second-year receiver, should break out. So should be somebody that eventually we're starting in lineups, maybe even over DJ Moore. But right now, in week 1, with all we have to go off of, I feel more comfortable starting DJ Moore. My anytime touchdown pick here is going to be running back for the Vikings, not Aaron Jones, but Jordan Mason plus 176. Again, I expect him to get the goal line touches. Vikings are making an emphasis to run the football, so hoping that comes to fruition. They can do it successfully. That is it, ladies and gentlemen. 16 games in 16 minutes. Boy, oh boy, football is back. I cannot wait to recap everything that happens this week. I will be back next week to do so. But again, thank you guys so much for tuning in. We will see you next week.